Hello and welcome to episode one of Money Free Economics. Today's episode is about housing. If you want to get in touch, you can send the mail to my email in the top left corner of the screen. So, there's five housing problems that I've highlighted that should be solved. Let's look at them real quick. Um, Small and crowded housing. There's a lot of like houses built with nice plots of land that are really close to community areas. The land is in a nice place, and the land itself is quite nice to build nice apartments and houses. But most of these buildings they have low ceilings and a small surface area, and this is because it's really expensive to to add new stuff. This isn't improving, and we can see this that real estate investors are actually conforming to market prices, and so there's no really improvement. New buildings, they look nice and everything, but they're still very small. Realistically speaking, only millionaires can build housing for themselves in the way that they want to have custom stuff to not be confined by money. Uh, Secondly, we have housing ownership. Some people have mortgages. Quite a large number of people. They have to work for a decade or two for laboring, and this gives rise to the argument that they're sort of trapped in their employment, and they have to really walk. They have to work for 20 years without getting much. They only get one piece of real estate. Ending homelessness. So the first thing that comes to mind when speaking about ending homelessness is government housing projects, but they seem to not be working because there's still a lot of homeless people. Luxury housing. So mass production of decorative materials, such as furnishing and stuff like that. It reduces the price, but it actually restricts the amount of potential designs there are. There's a lot of like ideas in luxury home magazines and the internet and stuff, but realistically, there's a barrier with the money and people. There's no like uniqueness, and yeah. More than one housing objects. Most people only own one housing object, but then yeah, they want to have second vacation housing and stuff like that, but it just isn't possible. And then we'll talk about these three solutions. These are really the most important. This is like a summary um, of the whole video. So you must be the owner of your objects, and no one is allowed to give them away but you. So we're gonna apply the right of property in an absolute way. So even if you have a debt to a bank and it says in the contract that you have to give the bank that you'll get evicted, that you'll get repossessed and stuff like that, we're gonna completely prevent all of that and ban it, so no one will be able to evict your house, not the government. Evict you from your real estate, not the government, not private firms, etc. So not just to the homeless, but for secondary objects, for migrants, for vacation homes. So new and unregistered land will be used to create new real estate, and it will be essentially land written to your name by the government. And then number three, construction materials and furnishings will all be free. The government will create its own factories that will be able to create furnishing in the way that you want it. So you would design something for yourself, and then you would submit that to the factory. The factory would produce it. In terms of supply, private firms can also be engaged by the government to give you these things without any debt on your part. So the new system. So what we're gonna do is so for step one, let's say you're building a new piece of real estate. Step one, you make a plan. You say the plan has garages, swimming pools, I don't know, plots for like 20 fruit trees, stuff like that. You make it how you want it. You send it. You select the locality where you want it to be. You submit that to the government. The government does engineering proofing. Um, if that passes, then the government will actually offer you a specific location in that locality. It can offer you multiple locations for your build, and then whichever one you select, the land will be written to your name, and it's going to be yours forever. And then towards the end, so materials for the construction of real estate will arrive to your site. construction will take place under supervision of a licensed engineer. So the potential questions, let's look at them right now. Is there enough land? Yes, there is enough land. Well, it depends. Some countries have a higher population density. Some have a lower population density. So for the Balkan regions, we're talking about 1 hectare per person if we factor in agriculture and unusable land like mountains, like Rocky Mountains. But I will make a different video on land usage later on with all the specific things. Materials limit, there's no materials limit at all. Supply comes to you when everything is proofed, when the land is in your name. Who'll do the construction? So you can do the construction. You can ask for volunteers to arrive at your construction site. Um, Essentially, but the licensed engineer will have like the final say in terms of the structural parts of the house. Class and placement selection. So, if many people want to build houses on the coast, the government can step in and say this zone will be used for commercial purposes because there's too many people who want it, and yeah. Um, there's no limit to ownable objects. Theoretically, you can have 10 pieces of real estate. Existing objects can be traded in for new ones. They can be refurbished at any time. Some buildings will be culturally protected. Um, Apartment blocks can be demolished or structurally reinforced, or demolished and rebuilt again. Comment one: the government shouldn't limit you. It cannot impose intervention or quotas. Global resource management is fairly straightforward for people who know what resource-based economy is. So it includes all the logistics, macro logistics of everyone's houses, and it tracks how the supply chain acts and collects data and stuff to make things more efficient. Include everything in your plan: garages, tennis courts, trees, everything. Include it all in your plan. Um, yeah, zoning agricultural, that's not necessary. We'll talk about that in a different video. Reinforcing or aging objects like apartment blocks, we've talked about that in the previous slide. Avoiding nationalization is very important because essentially we're expanding on land that belongs to no one, so that we don't have to nationalize everything, and then do with it what the government wants or what the people want. Is it realistic? Can we make it? Post scarcity dictates that it's realistic, and we can make it. I will do specific videos on land usage, and then we'll talk about countries where there's more land per person than in other countries. So that's pretty much that.